We're here to prove it's possible, not just for us, but for every woman brave enough to go for more. We believe success is sweeter when it's shared, and that your next level comes faster when you're surrounded by women who truly get it. This episode is brought to you by the Ultimate Girls Trip Business Mastermind Retreat, where big goals, belly laughs, and bold action all belong in the same room.
Hi guys, welcome back. Today we are chatting about hustle culture. I feel like hustle culture has gotten a pretty bad rap lately.
Yeah.
It's kind of like the, you know how anything in extreme, the tables turn and then all of a sudden it's really bad. Like right now, toxic positivity is like everyone's toxic positivity is so bad. I think that my stance is that anything in like the furthest extreme, of course, is bad. But I do think that we shouldn't shit on hustling in general, just because some people take it too far. Like, I do think that there's value in hustling, especially if you're a business owner. I think that there is a season where you do have to hustle a bit.
This is the problem. So the way that I kind of look at things like this and where we're in the like hustle culture is toxic, hustle culture is bad, I think of I'm watching the pendulum swing the other direction where people are like, well, I shouldn't have to work this hard. It should be, it should just come to me and like I should get 1 million views on my socials and I should this and, whatever. And it's like the problem with it is being an entrepreneur requires daily work. Like call it hustle, call it hard work, brand it however it feels right for you. But it isn't something where you make one social media post and your product or service sells. It is literally day after day after day after day after year of hard work, continuous growth, keeping your brain in the game, doing the advertising, doing the background work, coming up with innovative ideas, sharing your life, like all the stuff that goes into
Pivoting
it.
when you need to pivot.
Yeah, pivot when you need to
Yeah,
pivot.
and I just think that if you look at like the world's most successful business people, do you think they didn't hustle at least for a small moment in time? Like, do you think they just sat around and were like, universe, I'm ready for it?
Yeah, exactly. Like they did the hard thing. That's the whole reason they have what they have. They've got where they've got. And
like if you look at like the Steve Jobs of the world, the Elon Musks, where they've like created a new technology that didn't exist before them, do you think that they sat around and just hoped that one day it would all come together? Or do you think that there was like a lot of hustling in a garage, in their basement, figuring out things, trying things, trial and error things,
yeah,
scrapping things, creating new things? Like there is a moment in time where every big successful entrepreneur had to hustle.
yeah. And had an obsession almost where there was nothing that was going to stand in the way of their goal or their dream because they were that dialed in on what they wanted. And I find this with myself, like when I'm really excited about like a new business or a new thing, I'm like relentless about like getting it all set up, getting everything in place, building the graphics, making sure we have a logo, like doing all the background work that I'm like, okay, this is what's required. And my brain goes 100 miles an hour and it is dedicated to that particular new thing that's exciting to me. And then what's the really hard part and where the hustle needs to continue, maybe not as like extreme as in the development phase, but it needs to continue in that I can't tell somebody about Rich Girls Course Club courses once on social media.
Yeah.
And then never mention it again and then be like, why didn't they sell? I'm just being a hot, toxic hustler now if I have to make another post. That's not how that works. Like, of course, not everybody saw my first post. Not everybody knows what Rich Girls Course Club is. Not everybody understands that this is a new
They might
service
even
that
be
we've
in a
had.
season of life where it's not applicable in that moment, but 6 months later, it might be applicable. Like, I
Exactly.
mean, I might not be shopping for new Nike running shoes when I walk past the Nike store, but then 6 months later, when my gym shoes need to be replaced or my tennis sneakers need to be replaced, I still see Nike everywhere. I see them in the mall. I see them on the teenagers. Like they are available. The whole reality is that just because it's a no in that moment doesn't mean that it's a no forever. And I think that,
Exactly.
we have this idea, and I think everything is just a blend of other things, but like we have this idea that, there should be ease and flow in our business. There should be ease and flow in our personal life. And yes, in an ideal world, in an idealistic fantasy, everything would just be perfectly balanced and we would all be living in harmony. Our businesses would
Of
be
course.
perfectly in alignment with our personal life, with our family life, with our relationships and our success and our money and all of that. But I believe that when you are in a growth season or a business season that requires a little more of your energy, a little more of your hustle, you have to give it, because we can't just sit around and be like, universe, I'm ready to receive. Do I believe that saying universe, I'm ready to receive is absolutely part of it? Because everything needs to be, all cylinders need to be firing, like your mental health, your trust in the universe or your God or whatever, plus your hustle, all need to come together to create what you're creating. But do I think that saying, just leaning on one is enough? No. So just leaning on hustling but not believing in yourself isn't going to be enough. Just
Exactly.
leaning on the universe to provide you with what you need, but not actually doing any of the work isn't going to get you there. I do think that there has to be some form of hustle. And I think in our society right now, we've demonized hustling so bad that we've almost come to a point where, like, what do they call that? Like bed rotting?
Yeah,
Where
like
you
the
like
teenager thing.
the
Yeah.
teenager thing, but I feel like people do that in their business too,
Hmm.
where you feel like, okay, well, I've put in enough effort. I should just be able to lounge around and wait for it to just,
People to flow in
the
and
rocket ship to just
yeah,
take off. And that's
yeah,
not realistic either. And then,
totally.
you can't be mad when your business failed if you didn't give it a bit of hustle. I don't know.
Absolutely.
That's just my take on things.
Well, and I also think that and I don't know if it's like a cultural thing or a societal thing or what, but I do think that there's like this idea that everything should come really easy and quick for us. And I don't know if it's like the fact that our phones deliver us information at lightning speed, anything we want to think about, learn about, it's literally at our fingertips. So everything is super easy in the world. And I mean, I was talking with somebody recently about how, like, imagine the time when you're like, there was no running water in the house and you had to use an outhouse in the backyard and
You had to
you lived
boil
on a
water
farm.
for your bath.
Exactly. And you had to boil water for your bath and all those kinds of things. Like, people didn't expect anything to come easy then. That wasn't their normal. And so right now our normal is such ease of everything. I mean, we turn on the tap and the perfect cold, medium, or hot temperature will come out.
Mhm.
If we flush a toilet, it flushes. And very rarely
I mean,
does anything
you can
come
tell the toilet how much water flow
water to
you would like.
use. Exactly.
So
Exactly.
that's, we've
And
come
it's
to like
awesome.
the extreme of it for sure.
Exactly. And it's awesome. Like all of these easier things. But like what that tells me, what that says to me is like we have more time in our day actually to do the things for our businesses and chase the goals and we aren't boiling the water for our bath. So why not use that time and not like you said, the concept of bed rot, which, like, for people that don't know what bed rotting is, it's like a teenager concept that or people concept where you get on a device and you lay in your bed for like 12 hours or like
Yeah. And you eat all
or
of your
lay
snacks
what
in your bed and
yeah,
you literally don't leave your bed.
you read a book, you eat, you
Yeah.
just
And
laze
it's
around.
almost like a glamorized version. I don't know how glamorous it is, but
Remember?
like a socially acceptable way of saying like, I'm a lazy slob,
Yeah, exactly. And
you
like,
know?
insert the judgmental tone here because it's there. Because I don't think anybody that's a successful person is laying around in bed all day or on the couch all day. And like, I love TV. I love a good
What do
trashy,
I?
Love is Blind or Housewives episode. But there are a few, like one episode a week, and I break it into three because I can't finish it. You know what I mean? Like, because I don't have,
And
if I,
we're not talking like, you guys watched a movie on a Saturday night, so you
no.
were bed rotting and you brought your snacks right to the TV
Mhm.
room. We're not talking about that. We're talking like continuous, like 8-hour shifts, 8 to 12 hour shifts where you've wasted an entire day lounging around in your bed
Yeah, exactly.
doing
And
nothing.
then wonder, well, demonize people that are hustling or the whole hustle culture, and then wonder why you don't have the business side gig thing that you want
Mhm.
and why it's not taking off. Because that's the thing, is that all good things do come with some work. They do come with some effort. What we put in is what we get out in this life. Like whether that's lots of love,
Everything comes
somebody,
with a cost.
yes,
Everything. And
everything.
that doesn't necessarily have to be a financial cost.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's a time commitment, sometimes it's an energy commitment, sometimes it
Mhm.
is a financial commitment, but nothing in this life is free.
Yeah, I agree. And I do feel nervous about how normalized it is to think that you're just going to go to school for something or just going to start the thing and it's going to skyrocket. And that's just not like, as two entrepreneurs, it was so funny to me because both of us have businesses. But when I won top 40 under 40, people almost talked to me like I was an overnight success. And I was like, this overnight took 18 years of overnights.
Hmm. Yeah.
Lots of years of overnighting to get here. But
Hmm.
I guess if you want to look at me as an overnight success, I became well known, much more well known leading up to
Hmm.
in my design business and in the things that I was doing and the opportunities that I was getting. But even those opportunities I was getting, I sought them out. I went and
Hmm.
found them because I realized, okay, I've been running this business for a very long time. It's doing great. It's successful. I like it. All is well. What's my next step? And it took me like changing some marketing ideas and doing some different things and reaching out to the morning shows and doing design segments with them. But it was like ran by me. The opportunities didn't knock on my door. I went and thought like, how could I get in front of more people? What does that look
Totally.
like for me? So even the growth of my already successful business requires steps and pivoting and thinking differently and making changes and chasing something.
In my business, when the recessions come, people are always like, oh, I want to get into safety. Like, that seems like a pretty cushy gig. And they're always really surprised to find out that, like, they can't just, pop into it and all of a sudden get all of these clients.
Right.
And so, it's always a really stark reminder. I mean, real
Real
estate is
estate. Yeah,
very
I
much
thought of
the
that.
same, where people are like, oh, seems pretty great. I'm just gonna pop in here into
Yeah.
this industry that I know nothing about, and I'm gonna become a really successful realtor because I've watched other people do it. Guess what? The most successful realtors, they have advertising that they've had to pay for. They have an assistant who is working 9 to 5. They're putting themselves out there. They've got active social media accounts. They're putting ads on the radio.
And this is the stuff we see once they've made a little money to spend this kind of money. Like this
Absolutely.
isn't the years we didn't see that they didn't have.
They're not sitting at home or sitting
No.
in their office being like, universe, I'm
Yeah.
ready for a house
Bring
to
me.
go on the market and to
Yeah,
find
and
me an
some
easy
buyers
listing
as well as,
realtor.
yeah, I would like some
Like,
buyers for that million
everything
plus house.
requires energy. And I think that maybe this is just like I've officially turned into an old lady, but I'm like, I am a little bit worried about like our youth, in that we have made everything so simple for them,
Totally.
so easy for them, that I think that's part of why we have such a staff shortage in the world,
Mm.
is that nobody's really wanting to work for their money.
Not for
Nobody
that
really
lower,
wants to
not for
work.
that
It's
small
just
amount of money, like they'd like to see, because they heard about a guy on YouTube who, made these posts, they
who
went
plays
viral.
video games
Yeah.
and gets paid for his millions and millions of views.
Hmm.
And it's like, yeah, I mean, that might work out for the odd person, but everybody else, just to like pay for their gas and insurance when they're 16 to 18, had to work at the gas station or the grocery store or the Starbucks or whatever that looks like.
On the topic of like kids and the future, I do think it's the importance of like putting your kids in sports, putting your kids in piano lessons, putting your kids in something that they will have to work hard at to excel at, that they
Hmm.
are interested in. Because
Hmm.
that's the other thing, is that we need to have a general level of interest. Like if someone came along and was like, hey, listen to this business, and I wasn't interested in it, I wouldn't hustle for it. I would not be interested in that. But if I came up with the idea and I'm pumped about it and I think there's a market for it and I'm, did all my research and did all my stuff and I'm ready, there's nothing stopping me. So you got to find like the thing that does that. But don't
But
use that
listen,
as the example,
listen.
as the excuse either, because this is the thing. It's not going to feel good the whole time. It just
Well,
won't.
and when you're 14 looking for your very first job, guess what? It's not that fun to go to work when all your friends are going to a party. It's not that fun to miss out on going to the movies. It's not that fun to like be like, oh shoot, I better get my homework done right after school because I have to go to my job at 5. It's not going to be fun.
No,
That's the
it's not.
reality. And you're not doing your passion project when you're 16 years old. You're just doing a job. And the reality is that there's going to be a lot of times in your life, not just for your career, but all sorts of times in your life where you don't want to do the thing. You don't want to get up and exercise. You don't want to go to work. You don't want to, go to Christmas dinner with your in-laws. Whatever that looks like for you, there's going to be times when you don't want to, but you have to,
Exactly. I agree. Yeah. So anyways, we'd love to hear your thoughts on, do you look at hustling as a good thing or as a bad thing? And what is the right balance, if that's even a thing? Is there such a thing as balance in this life?
Until next time, guys. See you later.
We are so grateful you're here.
It would mean the world to us if you'll subscribe to our podcast and YouTube channel and leave us a review.
If you want to hear more from us, go to proofitspossible.com to join our mailing list and find our social links so you don't miss a thing.
Thanks, and chat next time.